nigga. Get ready.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome to episode 16. Yes, episode 16. I'm pretty sure that's correct. Yes, it is, because the past one was 14, 15, episode 16. Sorry about that. Of the Play to Win podcast, a show where we break down weekly gaming news through in-depth discussion. My name is Tyler, and I'm not joined by myself and only myself this week. I am joined by Keiran, my amazing co-host Keiran. Man, how is it going? It has been 3 weeks since you were on the show. What's going on?
You know, I'm good. I've really recovered from COVID. That's where I've been for the last 2 weeks, is just not really being able to speak without, my throat being real sore. So apologies for not being here, but I'm back. Now you can't say anything about Hollow Knight or Ori.
I mean, I still can. I'll just get pushback.
I suppose, yeah.
That's the thing. When you were gone, I could have said whatever I wanted to, and no one would have stopped me. Unless the spirit of Keiran just slapped me, just all the way across the country. Just pow! How dare you say something? But no, as I said, I would never have done that anyway. Have no reason to, no basis to. It is very great to have you back. As nice as it was, as cool as it was, just doing it by myself and all that, having that discussion, that other person to talk to things about.
Yeah.
It's a crucial piece. Not having it makes things kind of lacking. But I still think we did that. Things were good the past 2 weeks. Still think things were pretty well handled and stuff. Happy to have you back. So that being said, this is, again, Play to Win podcast. Remember, you can follow us over on Twitter and Instagram at Play to Win Game, where we post updates on the show and other little random things. If you do follow us on Twitter, you will have known why there was no Friday video this past week. So I had food poisoning on Thursday night and was in no way, shape, or form going to be able to put a video together. I knew what I wanted to do for the video, but it was just not going to happen Thursday night. So unfortunately, there was no Friday video this past week. 2 weeks without a Friday video. Deepest apologies for that. But we should be good to go for the Friday video this coming week, barring any other unknown circumstances that might arise. Internet just crashing, the world coming to an end, wildfires, who knows, barring anything crazy, things should be good to go. Things will hopefully be, back in the normal swing of things from here on in, preferably. Also, subscribe to us on YouTube, obviously Play to Win. Like, comment, subscribe, share all the videos, not just our YouTube videos, but, the same goes for podcast services as well. Share, like, review, comment, all that stuff, all that jazz. Do all of the things. It is all greatly appreciated and very helpful for us. With all that being said, we're going to talk about these let me preview the episode for you. Getting all my words mixed up here. Topics for this episode, our main topics for the episode are going to be the Steam Deck, not the Steam Boy, not the Steam Pal, the Steam Deck. Netflix and PlayStation possibly entering a gaming partnership of sorts. It's very interesting. And of course, the biggest news story of the week, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. That obviously is the biggest story of the week.
Yeah, 100%.
So we're definitely going to be talking about that one too. Before we get into these main topics of the show, we're going to go through our brief mentions real briefly, and then we're going to get Keiran's thoughts on some of the big stories from the past few weeks, where he'll give us his 1 minute maximum thoughts on 6 of these big stories from the past couple weeks. So, brief mentions. Let's go through these real quick. First up, we have Xbox. They are saying that they might update their controller with features from the DualSense. Phil Spencer was on the latest episode of the Kind of Funny Games cast, chatted with them about a bunch of different things. I haven't seen the episode yet. But he talked about, possibly updating the Xbox controller and sometime in the near future. And they said that, he praised Sony. He said that, DualSense is a great controller. They've been, looking at it and saying, are there things that we can take from there and implement in our controller? It'd be cool if they did. I honestly believe the DualSense is a fantastic controller. It is the best PlayStation controller ever. I love this controller. I would love to see Xbox, implement some of its features into their controller, given that their current controller is honestly the most incremental of incremental updates for an Xbox controller. Am I wrong on that, Keiran? I don't want it to be speaking out of turn.
Nope. I mean, just for anyone who might not be aware, the only thing they've changed between the Xbox One controller and the Xbox Series X and S controller is they've changed the form factor ever so slightly. It's ever so slightly smaller, so it's more accessible to more people, apparently. And there is a share button on it now. Those are the only two changes that they made between consoles. So I would
D-pad as well.
Oh yes, they changed the D-pad. I don't use the new one. I use this Gears one, but yeah, I think they changed the D-pad slightly as well. But so I would be very, very welcome to more changes in the controller, so it feels a little bit different.
Yeah. So there's that. EA has confirmed there will be no Star Wars at all during EA Play Live this coming week, actually, which I'm not that big of a surprise, but honestly, it really begs the question, what is even going to be there aside from the Dead Space rumored remake? Well, what is going to be there of like note and consequence aside from updates on games that we already know? What new things are going to be there? Not a single Star Wars thing at all. I mean, maybe Star Wars Old Republic, who knows? They did announce like a new update for it, like a new expansion, I think sometime recently. So maybe there'll be stuff for that. But this means in my prediction of Jedi Fallen Order, the sequel, that's not happening there at all. So I think they said next year there'll be some Star Wars stuff. So, I mean, again, COVID has definitely changed things, thrown things out of whack. So it's a surprise, but it's one where you could be like, all right, is what it is at this point. Take it, just take it and roll with the punches. You got anything to say on that real quick?
Yeah, so they've confirmed that we're not going to see anything from Dragon Age, anything from Mass Effect, anything from Star Wars.
Yes.
So this is basically going to be the Battlefield 2042 and sports game show, and maybe Dead Space.
And Sims, probably.
Probably Sims.
Standard EA show for you.
Yeah, exactly.
A standard EA show these past couple years.
With everything they've been coming out saying, oh, we're not showing this. We're not showing this. I'm like, then what are you showing?
Well, also EA Originals. I forgot EA Originals. They've been having some cool stuff there as well. That's where we saw It Takes Two for the first time, A Way Out. And there's another one they have.
No, Unravel.
No. Well, yes, but that's not what I'm thinking of. It's the Dice one. The Dice one. Oh my gosh. Dice one looks like Tim Burton kind of aesthetic. I know what it is. I'm like the name is on the tip of my tongue. Gosh, it's gonna bug me. But they had it at their thing last year. It actually looked pretty cool. Lost in Random. Lost in Random.
Yeah.
That's what it was. So that'll probably. I think that's gonna be there as well.
I think Xbox just leaked the release date for that actually.
Well, another thing that's just getting leaked.
Yep.
Next brief mention, just more like a minor addition to some information we already knew, just some more information about the differences between the last gen and the new gen versions of Battlefield 2042. We already knew that the player size and the play size is going to be different, that maps are going to be smaller on last gen. Last gen is going to have 64 players max, new gen is going to have 128 players max, and PC. But now we know crossplay is going to be PS4 and Xbox One. You guys will be playing by yourselves. Well, you guys will be playing with each other, but you will not be playing with PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC. New gen and PC will all be able to play together. PS4 and Xbox One will be playing together in their own little sandpit on the side. Also, cross progression and cross commerce has been confirmed. So, if you buy something on one platform, you could use it on another platform. If you level up to level 50 on one platform, you're still level 50 on another. But because cross progression and stuff has been confirmed, the technical playtest has been delayed to later this summer. It was supposed to be July. It will happen later on in the summer now. Next up, Final Fantasy X-3 got talked about this week because the Final Fantasy X anniversary is on the 19th, which I believe is tomorrow. That's correct. Nope, that is the day that this goes live. So Today, the Days goes live. Celebrate Final Fantasy X, everybody. Yeah, 20th anniversary of that game. One of the best Final Fantasy games out there. So 10-3, they were talking to like some of the writers of the game and also Tetsuya Nomura. It does have a plot. If you know of the audio drama that comes with the 10-2 remaster, and there's also like a novel kind of out there. If you know about those two things, that is what the framework of a plot is that they have. If you know of those two things, you know that that's not really the best framework for a plot for a 10-3. And they might want to, if they use it as a framework, drastically do something different. But they did also confirm that a 10-3 might happen at some point in time. It's not a definite no, but if it does happen, it'll be after 7 Remake is complete. 7 Remake has to be finished first. So 10-3, if it does happen, is not happening for at the very least like 6-7 years at the very least. We got a couple of delays announced this week. Ghostwire Tokyo, the Bethesda PlayStation exclusive, it has been delayed to 2022. It was supposed to come out later this year. Riders Republic has been delayed to October 28th. And Rainbow Six Extraction has been delayed to January of next year. Big delays, but and again, take all the time you need to make your game to make it the best it can be. Yeah. And especially in the day and age that we're in. I see you have thoughts about something.
No, something just popped. Well, something just popped into my head. Weird that they went with January for next year for Extraction, considering we now know that's when Elden Ring's coming out. And I imagine a lot of people are probably going to pick up that and not want to play anything else.
I mean,
Elden Ring's in January, though.
That's the thing. Elden Ring's end of the month. This could come out at the beginning of the month. And beginning of the month might be a tough time. Depends on when the beginning of the month.
Yeah.
Regardless, this is kind of this is going to be a rock and a hard place for them. That's I imagine I would not be surprised if they delay that to like February, give it like a few weeks away from Elden Ring. Who knows? Persona. It is this year's the 25th anniversary of the Persona franchise, and they are teasing 7 different announcements for the 25th anniversary. The first announcement is going to be coming in September. The last one is coming in fall 2022. There's a whole bunch of merch that they got out there and stuff for the anniversary if you go to the website and all. And some people are speculating and predicting that one of these announcements is going to be Persona 6. Reason being, there was some piece of like promotional art for this anniversary that has like a bunch of different boxes, and each of the boxes has the main protagonist from each of the Persona games. And after the last one, there's an empty box that's just empty. So people are thinking, is this gonna be? Are we getting a Persona 6 announcement soon? Who knows? Honestly, I don't know either, but I love this. Again, ever since I played Persona 5 Royal, I've just been all aboard the Persona train, and I'm just like, give me more Persona. Although I don't want to give up the Phantom Thieves because they are just the best. Oh, they're the best. All right, 2 more brief mentions here. Final Fantasy 14 became so popular this week that Square Enix had to basically put their sales on pause. They basically said, nope, we cannot sell more of the game right now. People are just flooding into the game like crazy. And like if you went to the Square Enix website to try and buy it, it said sold out. Like you could not buy it. I don't know if that was the case like on other PC stores or like on the PlayStation store. I don't know what the situation was, but yeah, that's a thing that happened because Final Fantasy 14 is the popular MMORPG from Square Enix that has that lets you play for free up to level 60, including the first expansion, Heavensward. I just tried to do the Final Fantasy 14 meme for those who do not know what I was trying to do. If you know what I was trying to do, you appreciated that, and I hope I did it as well as I could. Keiran, I know you were lost on what I was trying to do.
Nope, no idea.
Final brief mention here, Psychonauts 2 will have an invincibility toggle in the game. That way, anyone and everyone can play it and just get through the game if you just want to get through the game. Yes.
I've seen a lot of people online giving Double Fine, and I just blanked on the name for a second. Double Fine flack for having an invincibility mode in the game, and I'm just like, just let people play games how they want. It's a toggle. You don't have to have it on. Just move on.
Yeah, that's stupid. That's really silly.
Yeah.
All right, now Keiran, we're gonna get your thoughts.
Okay.
At 1 minute maximum on each of these. I don't have a timer next to me. You have your dual screen. So can you put up a second screen? And you put a timer up there. All right.
Sure.
1 minute.
1 minute.
All right, you ready? No more than that. So each of the topics that we're going to be going over to get Keiran's 1 minute maximum thoughts on are the Switch OLED model, PlayStation's acquisitions, Sony's indie problem, Dead Space remake, the rumor about that, Assassin's Creed Infinity, and the Bloober Team and Konami partnership. Real quick, the Sony indie problem. What do you know about that?
When I came to it, I was going to be like, don't know much about it, but I assume it's a problem.
Yeah, so I'll just give you a brief thing about that right now, so you have at least something to say. Basically, it came out that Sony was really not being the best and not being that friendly with indie developers, period.
Oh, charging them 25% for something.
Not 25%. It was like if you wanted like a advertisement on the front page, it was like $25,000. It was that, but also mixed in with that, there's the thing of like just poor communication, processes that are, I don't want to say outdated, but like really that need to be heavily updated in order to make things easier for indie developers and all like that. And like people say they're trying to be better, but like things are still like really not that good. And because the promotion's not that good over there on the PlayStation platforms, sales for indie games on PlayStation platforms are like not that great in comparison to like other platforms as well. That's just like a top level overview of what it was. So yeah. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, we're gonna start with the Switch OLED model in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, Switch OLED model. I don't like it. It's the same as the old Switch. There's nothing changed about it except there's a bigger screen and bigger and an OLED screen. And it's $50 more. I hate that. It's not a Pro. We've been here with the Pro for months. And there's nothing changed about it apart from the stupid screen. I don't like it. I'm not buying it. I urge everyone not to buy it. It's dumb. If you do have a Switch already, sure, buy that one if you want to. But if you already have a Switch, there's no point in upgrading unless you want slightly more accurate colors. That's it. Done.
Okay. PlayStation acquisitions. What are your thoughts on that? In 3, 2, 1, go.
It's really dumb they're charging indie developers $25,000.
I didn't say the indie problem, but okay, we'll jump to that one. I said the acquisitions.
Sure.
But indie problem.
Sure, indie problem. I'll restart my timer. It's really dumb. They're charging indie developers $25,000 to advertise on their store. Like that's a deposit for a small house. Like that's ridiculous. Don't charge indie developers ridiculous amounts of money for advertising on your store to sell their game. It's already incredibly difficult for them to make their game and market it and get it sold and make another game because they got funding for the last game or it sold really well, what have you. I'm also trying really hard not to swear on this, but we'll see how we go. But no, don't charge indie developers massive amounts of money. Also, please have better communication. Like I say, it's really hard. It's hard enough for them already to, market their game, get out there, get eyes on it, get it sold, whatever. Communicate better with indie devs, please. Like, indie devs are one day going to be AAA devs. Potentially. Yeah. But communicate better, Sony. Okay, done. I have 3 seconds left.
All right, now their acquisitions this time. Sony's acquisitions.
Got it.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
I'm really happy for the companies that got acquired, which I believe are Nixus and Housemarque. Interestingly, ending their streak of, maybe not ending their streak, but so far they've only bought people who have been long time developers for only PlayStation or mostly only PlayStation, like Insomniac, other ones that I can't think of right now because
Insomniac, Sucker Punch, Gorilla. Those I think were the most 3 recent ones.
Yeah. So and again, I'm not saying I'm not saying that these are bad acquisitions because they've not developed exclusively for Sony, but Housemarque used to develop quite a lot of games for Xbox. But the other one, Nix's, has me very, very excited because they are a PC port company. So they are basically going to be porting PlayStation games to PC, which, you know, they've handled games like Deus Ex and Tomb Raider. So I'm all for that. Done.
Cool. Real quick, I will say, if you look at Housemarque's Wikipedia page, yes, they have done some Xbox ones, but I think after one game on the Xbox 360, I think all their other ones have been PlayStation exclusive.
Okay.
I'm pretty, don't quote me on that because I looked at it. Because I was like, I know they had a strong relationship with PlayStation. And a lot of their recent games, like since the PlayStation 4, have been PlayStation exclusive. So it's like it's a relationship that's like been there for a while. It's like you're kind of putting the ring on it. It's interesting though. All right. Dead Space remake rumor. 3, 2, 1, go.
Really cool stuff they're doing with it. They're gonna make it like the Resident Evil 2 reboot from Capcom. I'm all for reboots like that. I'm not gonna play it. I'm not a horror game person. Don't like Dead Space. Done.
All right. Assassin's Creed Infinity. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hate the idea. Done. No. No.
That's it.
I mean, it sounds cool. It sounds like it's going to be interesting. You have like Assassin's Creed games that they're. I don't understand the concept because I haven't looked super into it. All I've read for it is that it's going to have an evolving map like Fortnite. They're going to keep adding stuff into the game. It's going to be Assassin's Creed. It's going to be headed by 2 developers, if I'm correct.
Yeah. So the 2 teams that have been taking turns on it are going to basically work together as one team for forever, basically from now on. So like this is their next big thing that both of them are doing.
Yeah, which I believe is Ubisoft Montreal and Quebec.
Yes.
I think. Yeah. No, I can't give any thoughts on it because it's like super early in development. I haven't seen it. I haven't played it. Done.
Yeah, we all basically know nothing about it, and like like I said in that article, like it's so early that details about it are still in flux. So
yeah.
Final one: Bloober Team and Konami, their partnership. 3, 2, 1, go.
Everyone says it's going to be Silent Hill. It might not be. Just don't get your hopes up. But I mean, Bloober Team are like a horror developer, and Silent Hill is a horror game from Konami. So, I mean, the stars kind of align on that one. I've seen a lot of people say that they don't want Bloober Team to make a Silent Hill game, and I'm like, well, how can you even say that without, you know, like the games I've played from them have been really good. I've enjoyed Layers of Fear and Layers of Fear 2. I played like the first 20 minutes of Blair Witch and was like, nope, not doing it. And then like the Medium, while not their best game, is still it's not a bad game. It's extremely impressive in terms of like the technology that goes into it. But I want to see the game before I make any assumptions about it or decide whether it's going to be bad or if I'm going to play it, which I'm not because I don't like horror games. Done.
Okay. And those are Keiran's thoughts on those 6 topics from the past 2 weeks. I really wish you were able to be on the episode where we talked about the indie problems. And, well, I mean, they're both separate episodes. So again, both episodes really, because I definitely wish I could have like heard, you couldn't even know your full, more in-depth thoughts on the Sony indie stuff and the Switch OLED, which I don't think it's a bad thing at all in any way, shape. I agree and disagree with some of what you said about it.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not as angry about it as you are. But yeah, so those are Keiran's thoughts on the past 2 weeks of news.
Yeah.
With all that out the way now, we're going to get into this week's news. And we're going to start with the actual, for real, biggest news of the week, that being the Steam Deck. Yes, Valve has officially announced their Steam Deck, and we first talked about this some episodes ago, when it was just rumored that they were going to be doing something. They're going to be entering the console space in some way, shape, or form. And Gabe Newell said, in probably not a way that you're going to expect. So I know that at that point we were thinking, they're going to be making a console? Are they going to be like putting Steam OS on platform? Are they going to be just like bringing some more of their games to consoles and all? What are they going to be doing? And it turns out they're making a Switch. They're actually making a Switch-like handheld device, handheld gaming PC, essentially, called the Steam Deck. What did you say?
I said pretty much like it is pretty much a mobile PC.
Yeah, basically, yeah. The way you had said it, it sounded like you had said broach. I was just like, wait, what? Huh? What is that? Is that like a Scottish slang term or word that I've just never heard before? But yeah, so that's what it is, and we'll put like a picture up on the side or on the screen in some way, shape, or form, like just so we can see what it looks like. But basically, it looks like you know what? Let me just read this piece here. IGN exclusively revealed this. They got the first hands-on with it. They got to talk to Gabe Newell and all like that. And did I actually? Let me see. I thought I had the article here, but I did not. So I'm going to pull it up real quick because I want to be sure about exactly who it was that said this in the announcement piece. Here we go. So written by Tom Marks here in the second paragraph of his piece here, because he's the one who has to go hands-on with it. He says here, the Steam Deck has a form factor similar to that of a slightly larger Nintendo Switch, but with the capabilities of a full gaming PC. It runs a modified version of Valve's SteamOS, complete with a new console-like interface for easy navigation of both the Steam Store and your Steam library. But it also provides access to an unrestricted computer desktop where any third-party applications can be installed, including non-Steam games or launchers. Which, that's a real top-level overview of it. And I think it sounds really cool on paper and concept. And like I have some more like bullet point details about the Steam Deck here that we'll go through in a moment. But on paper, this concept sounds really cool. And looking at what the device is, I like and dislike the look of it, kind of, sort of. It looks a bit, I guess you could say, uncomfortable and unwieldy, but apparently it's actually comfortable to hold based on like hands-on reports. It's actually comfortable to hold, but it's a bit of an eyesore, and I'm sure it's a look that you'll like adjust to and get used to, but I'm not a fan of like the analog sticks and the buttons being in the top corners and the buttons are to the side, like to the right side of the analog sticks. Well, to the right, like the ABXY buttons to the right of the right analog stick, and the D-pad is to the left of the left analog stick at the top left corner. It looks a bit weird. It's not the prettiest handheld here.
Yeah, honestly, I was basically always say the exact same thing. Is like I simultaneously like and don't like the look of it. Like overall, I think it looks pretty good. If you look at it from the front, it looks like it's about this thick, but it's not. It's a about the thickness of a Switch, maybe slightly larger. But yeah, I like it. I don't like it. I also really don't like that the buttons and the whatever are in the like very top corners. I think that's going to be like, again, I haven't had hands on with the people who have said it's comfortable, but from my point of view, having just looked at pictures, it looks very uncomfortable and it looks quite large.
Yeah, it's interesting. And also, like, unlike the Switch, you can't like remove the it doesn't like let you remove the analog stick thingies like the Joy-Cons at all. It's not like that. It's all one put together device and all like that.
Yeah.
So I have a bunch of bullet points here running down the what's what of the Steam Deck. So Keiran, stop me on anything here that you want to input yourself on. Okay.
Sure.
So first up, it has a 7-inch native 720p resolution. Technically, it's 1280 by 800 resolution, but the screen, it's a native 720p resolution. 60 hertz LCD screen. It has a custom AMD APU featuring a 4-core, 8-thread CPU paired with 8 RDNA 2 compute units for the GPU. And it also has 16 gigs of LPDDR5 RAM. For console people like me, that means it's powerful, I guess. For the more PC oriented people, that might mean a lot to you. Keiran.
I can explain a little if you would like me to.
Based on what I understand, this is very powerful for the size and the price.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So, I mean, 4-core 8-thread CPU is basically, it's got 4 cores, but there are 8 thread. This is probably going to be a very poor explanation, and I don't even know if I'm going to do it right. But basically a thread is like another CPU. basically.
Okay.
It can do, if it has like one core and two threads, and it can do two things at the same time, basically.
Got it.
And then 16 gigs of LPDDR5. I'm pretty sure stands for low profile double data rate is what that stands for. But
Got
that's
it.
as much as I'll go into it, because I don't want to get like super technical and confuse everyone. But yes, what Tyler said is correct. From what we understand, this is a quite a powerful system for the price,
Right.
especially in this form factor.
Right. Moving on, the Steam Deck can suspend running games just like consoles can. As I said, the button and the sticks are on the top corners of the handheld. The control sticks, though, they are capacitive, so they know when your thumb is resting on them.
That's cool.
There is a trackpad underneath each stick for mouse inputs. So if you prefer to like kind of be more like that, you can do that.
They look horrible.
Again, it's the Steam Deck. It's like I don't mean to sound. All right, I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say, but I'll say this instead. It's like an ugly duckling. You know, it's like you're not the best looking, but you know what? You grow on me. You're growing on me.
Yeah.
You know. There are 4 back buttons that could be mapped however you would like to, however you want to do them. I didn't see like really a whole lot of pictures of this, so I don't know if there are pictures of the back of the device. So I'm not sure if it's like back paddles like on the Xbox Elite controller, or if they mean, I imagine they don't mean like bumpers and trigger buttons like on like R2, L2, RT, LT. I imagine they don't mean that. I imagine they mean something more like the Elite controller back control button thingies. That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah. IGN have a gallery of like pictures of it, and that is it. From what I took a very brief glance at it, but it looks similar to like the Elite controller style.
Okay, that's exactly what I imagine.
Yeah.
Has a built-in microphone, which hopefully you can mute. Hopefully you can do that. That way we don't end up with the Destruction All-Stars problem where at launch, literally everyone's mic was just on and you couldn't everyone's mic was automatically on for that game. Like, yeah, you mute yours. You had to mute yours. It's just like there has the touchscreen is multi-input. So that's cool. It has Bluetooth support for anything that connects to a PC. So like in the FAQ, someone had said that they had like AirPods on IGN, and like their AirPods connect to it just fine. So Bluetooth support for anything that connects to a PC. It also will have a dock that allows it to connect to a larger display, whether that be a TV or another PC monitor, whatever it may be. Or you could also connect mouse and keyboard to the Steam Deck as well, if that's how you would prefer to play your games. Now here, actually, I'm gonna bounce to number 14 in the dock. Then I'll come back to 13 and 15. So number 14, we have here the battery life. Battery is 2 to 8 hours. And then we got an example of like what battery life can be with certain games. So Portal 2, for example, they said Portal 2 you could play that for about 4 hours. But if you drop the frame rate down to 30 FPS for Portal 2, it can play it for about 5 to 6 hours before having to charge up. Now the super important information. The Steam Deck will come in 3 models. Now, what I have here is literally just what IGN had on the website. I know on the actual Steam Deck page, there's like a bit more information about like what comes with each unit, but like this is the important stuff that comes with each unit in terms of the price. So there is a 64 gig model that costs $399. 64 gigs. It's not any special memory, it's just 64 gigs of memory. Then next up, at $529, you can get Steam Deck with 256 gigs with an NVMe SSD. And then at $629, that storage space gets upgraded to 512 gigs of NVMe SSD storage, and it also has an anti-glare screen. All the devices, though, support a micro SD expansion that can run games off of the micro SD expansion as well. And it's being set to release this holiday season. That's what it's aiming for. That's a nice overview rundown of the what's what of the Steam Deck. Now, Keiran, I think the Steam Deck is an amazing idea. I think it's really cool. And I would love to get one. But that price though.
Yeah.
Because you see, I would not want to get a 64 gig one, because here's the thing. Most AAA games will be more than 64 gigs for sure.
100%.
So like if you plan to mainly play your AAA Steam games on this, you need to be at least willing to pay up at minimum $529 at minimum. Now, if you're one who mainly plays smaller indie games on Steam, then the 64 gig one might be good for you. To be honest, it just might be. But yeah, that's the pricing there is a bit, I think, is what will turn people off of this, but also maybe entice people to at least get in on the ground floor with this. Because it's only $50 more than the OLED model of the Switch. And it's the same price as the digital version of the PS5. Which, when you look at it like that and what you're getting and what you can do with this, it's not bad for what we're getting.
No.
At all on a base level. Because you're able to play all of any game you have in your Steam library can be played on the Steam Deck. No matter what the game is, you can play it on the Steam Deck. Which is just wild. You could play, say you're playing, you have Control and you want to play that on the go, you can, and I know Valve, they also said that you can change the OS. The OS is like interchangeable and all like that. So you could theoretically, if I'm right in the FAQ, you could theoretically like put Windows 10 on here or Windows 11 or whatever, or drop Game Pass on here. You could mix it. You could customize this however you want to, and just have your games on the go.
Yeah,
it's really cool. Keiran, I want to get more of your thoughts on this.
I don't know if I want one, right? Like, I might. If I was gonna get one, I would probably go for the 512 one, because they have large amount of storage. Don't really care about the anti-glare screen, to be honest. So, like, the only reason I would get it is for like that large NVMe SSD. But you can put a micro SD card in it and it will run games off of that. I want to check something very quickly, but while I do, I will continue talking. I mean, the looks, I think I can get over.
Yeah.
Like we said, it's very capable, right? I mean, you can get a lot of things on it. Like I Googled it just now. Let me pull up that number again. There are 8,033 games on Steam. So you can play 8,033 games on this thing. Like, that's insane. I mean, obviously you have to buy them, but
right.
That's ridiculous. I mean, for somebody like me who has like an extremely large Steam library already and 90% of that is unplayed, might be a very good reason for you to play, like for you to catch up on your Steam library. Like there are very good reasons to get this thing. One, I mean, like you said, one not so good reason is the price, right? Which, I mean, if you look at price to performance or price or value per dollar, however you want to phrase it, it's leaning on like the good value for money side. Like you're getting a very capable gaming machine that you can take anywhere you want. The battery life, I'm not super impressed with. It's not terrible. It's definitely
the battery life is about like the same as the Switch, to be honest. The Switch is only 9 hours maximum. So like it's in line with the Switch. I think how much you will like this and how much price is a factor for you will really depend on what type of games you typically play on Steam. If you're someone who typically plays AAA games on Steam, then price will probably be a big factor for you, because you're automatically looking at the $529 range at minimum. Like I said before, because AAA games are typically really big. That 64 gigs isn't going to cut it. Yes, you can do the micro SD expansion. That is completely possible. I'm not discounting that. But I imagine if you're one who typically plays your AAA games on Steam, you probably want faster loading times too, maybe. And the NVMe
Yeah.
SSD will give you that over the 64 gigs, which doesn't have that at all. So I mean that's just where I'm looking at it at. But if you're someone who doesn't care about that, and you're just like, you're fine just getting in on the 64 gig level and just picking up some 200 some odd gig micro SD expansion card for $100 something, then that might be fine for you or whatever. Just getting a 64 gig.
Yeah.
Someone who only plays or mainly plays indie games on Steam, which granted, I don't have a Steam account, so I don't know like the size of all the indie games that are on there. But I imagine that they're typically no bigger than 5 gigs, maybe. So I imagine if you're someone who mainly plays indie games, the 64 gig is definitely it's just calling to you. It's like, all right, I'm in on that level right there alone.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say about that is like, yes, if you play indie games, then the 64 gig one would probably make the most sense to go for. However, you also have to say, well, do I really want to pay £350, which I'm on Steam just now looking at it. It's £350 in the UK, and it comes with a carrying case. Ooh, thanks, Valve.
Yeah.
But it's like, do I really want to pay £350 to play indie games on the go when like you could pick up like a Switch Lite or something, which yes, doesn't have like the range of games on Steam, right? But there is still like most, maybe not most, but a large number of indie games also launch on Switch, right? So that doesn't really that doesn't really make sense to me, or for me. Might make sense to other people, not for me. The thing I was looking up, which I'm very curious about and I'm kind of disappointed by, is I'm on the tech specs for it just now.
Yeah.
And it has, so the 256 and 512 gigs are NVMe storage, but they are PCIe Gen 3.
So they're not the Gen 4 that like the
Gen
PS5 has, right?
Nope.
Or
Series X.
Okay.
So Series X, PS5 have.
That means it's like slower than what the new consoles have, or
So I mean, the just off the top of my head, these numbers might be wrong, but I don't think they are. The speed of say a WDSN 750, which is like a very popular PCIe Gen 3 SSD, is I think 5,000 or 5 gigabytes per second, versus their SN850, which is their PCIe Gen 4, which is 7 gigabytes per second. So it's 2 gigabytes faster per second, which like is a lot, right? So I am already questioning, because before I was like, oh, I might get it because I want that NVMe storage. For the price they are offering this for, the hang on, let me pull up Steam again. So £569 in the UK for the 512 one, which is the one that I would go for. I now am questioning that value for money that I mentioned before, that was leaning on the side of being quite good, because like it's 2021, it's running AMD. Why in God's name is this not PCIe Gen 4?
Because I'm going to stop you there, because I imagine this would have to be way more expensive if they did that. And that's actually a good segue into this next little bit I have here from the same article. So Tom Marks, I'm pretty sure it's in the same piece. I'm going to scroll on down to it. So it is definitely here. I'm just want to definitely clarify and make sure that it is, but I'm pretty sure that it is in here. Oh no, it's a different article. Hold on a second. I'm going to it. So I just want to clarify who it was that actually wrote this news article here. Kat Bailey. Kat Bailey wrote this article here about Gabe Newell talking about the price and why they kind of picked that price point that they're at. So she writes here, speaking with IGN, Valve president Gabe Newell talked about the need to be, quote, very aggressive in terms of pricing, characterizing the price performance as, quote, one of the critical factors in the mobile space. He said that the top priority was to make sure that PC players are able to pick up the Steam Deck and feel like it works perfectly, but that price was also very much on Valve's mind when it developed the new device. Then we have a quote here saying, quote, "I want to pick this up and say, oh, it all works. It's all fast. It's all..." And then price point was secondary and painful. But that was pretty clearly a critical aspect to it, Newell said. But the first thing was the performance and the experience. That was the biggest and most fundamental constraint that was driving this, end quote. So again, price was already a factor for them. And like they did it, like it was all, they are clearly selling this at a loss. Very clearly they are.
Yeah.
And the price that they're selling it at, I would not be surprised if this is well below what they should be selling it at to even break even. I would not be surprised. Granted, I don't know anything about how much these PC parts cost or anything like that, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is well below breaking even price. So you have that in mind. That's definitely why it's not, Gen 4, NVMe storage drive and all like that. So there's that. But I don't think it needs to be like Gen 4 or anything to make this worthwhile. Just the fact that you're able to have that size NVMe SSD in here with the components that it has, with the other components it has for performance and all like that, in this form factor, at the price point that it's at, is already incredibly valuable. And I see this as definitely being, this is definitely aimed at anyone who already has, everyone who's already in the Steam system. If you're already in the Steam ecosystem and you want to be able to play your Steam games in your Steam library, take them on the go with you. Like take, in your case, your 8,000 plus Steam games with you. You got your whole library.
8,000.
Sorry, 800. Literally, I thought you said 8,000. 800 games at your fingertips. Just take them with you, delete and download as you please, whenever you want. Or, and I think this is even, I guess you could say even more critical, the people who are not in the PC gaming space, because they can't afford to buy a PC, build a PC, or they just are not interested in, all the nuances of PC gaming. All right, I built my PC, but 2 years from now, I might need to upgrade my CPU. I might need to upgrade my GPU. Oh, there's this new SSD. There's this new thing that I need to upgrade. Oh, what's going on? I built my PC, but what the heck is going on with all the settings here and stuff like that? And I'm sure maybe with these games on the Steam Deck, there'll still be like the nuances and the settings that you can mess around with and all like that. I'm not saying that won't be there, but having Steam in a handheld as opposed to having to build your PC and being locked at your PC removes 90% of the issues that come with PC gaming. Yeah. So for a person like me who can't afford to build a PC like that, and has no interest in many of the issues and nuances that come with PC gaming, this is right up my alley. It really is. The only issue for me is the price aspect of it. Because I would have to decide, okay, if I got this, what games do I think I'd really want to play? How badly do I want that SSD? So on and so forth. That's what I would have to think about for this. But I think that 64 gigs, allowing the micro SD expansions, allowing games to run off the expansions, all at $399 at a baseline $399 price, is utterly fantastic for the amount of games that are on Steam, and also just the amount of games that are exclusive to Steam, specifically in the indie space. Like there are so many indie games, really great and cool indie games that are only on Steam, and like maybe they'll come to Switch, but don't come to PlayStation, don't come to Xbox, or even if they're on, let me just take out only on Nintendo. They may only come to one console, period, and not be on the others. But they're on Steam for sure. Just about every indie game that comes out is on Steam for sure.
Yeah.
If you want, you could get Epic Game Store on this, if that tickles your fancy. The flexibility that is available with the Steam Deck all the value that comes with Steam and all the power and performance that comes with this at that baseline price point. Again, at that baseline price point makes this honestly great value. In my eyes, I see this as great value and just an ingenious move from Valve as a way to expand out of just PC and into a different space.
Yeah. One thing that just popped in my head when we were talking about value that has greatly increased the value for this for me is the Steam summer sale. Like one of the industry well-known best sales that there are, because you can get brand new AAA games for 50% off sometimes. It's ridiculous. So people who are picking this up, get that 64 gig model, or even the 256, sorry. Having that, even if it's just to play indie games, and then you might buy a AAA game when it comes around to the Steam summer sale, because you can get them so damn cheap during that sale. That's incredible value. Going back to what I was saying about the Gen 4 SSD is, one, I think I would only expect it to be Gen 4 on the most expensive model, because if you're paying for the most expensive thing, I expect it to be high end. I expect it to be the best of the best it can be. And if you look at the price of, so I pulled up the Western Digital drives I was talking about before, an SN750, which is the Gen 3 one, is £108. I'll round up, £109 in the UK, versus their Gen 4 one, the SN850, is 155. So it's not like there's this colossal difference between them. It's which are there's 50 quid, right? Which is not a tiny amount of money, but it's not you're paying £200 more for the Gen 4 one. But what I would have liked to have seen Valve do with this console is just have an M.2 slot in the back, and you can put in whatever storage you want to. If I want to go and buy a 2 terabyte PCIe Gen 4 drive, then I can do that and put it in. But that might have, I don't know if that would have raised costs necessarily, because you could ship it with enough storage for the OS, and then just say, if you want to, you can buy it bundled with one of our drives, which is PCIe Gen 3 or a hard drive or just a regular SSD, whatever. Or you can buy it just standalone and then put in your own drive into it. So if you want to use, and you can use Gen 3, Gen 4 SSD, can't use a hard drive obviously because those things are this big. But yeah, that's something that thinking about it, I would have liked to have seen them do, is for them to say you can use your own storage if you want to, or you can buy it bundled with one of our drives.
Yeah. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if, maybe not, obviously not with this one, but maybe depending on how successful this is and where this goes, if we see a Gen 2 of the Steam Deck, maybe then they'll say, all right, on this one, you'll be able to, and you can do micro SD expansion, but now there's also the option for possibly NVMe expansion, or if not both, maybe dropping the micro SD. Well, actually, no, they wouldn't drop the micro SD, because micro SD is going to be cheaper than an NVMe SSD expansion, and they want this to be accessible to people. And if you're selling something that's 64 gigs, and then you say, all right, if you want to expand this, you got to pay much more money than you would have to for just a micro SD expansion, of your size choosing and all like that. That's not making it that accessible and all like that.
Yeah.
Which then I think this goes into the nicely into the other little quote I pulled here with Valve looking long term at the Steam Deck, which again I believe is this is also from the same piece that Kat Bailey from IGN wrote. So there's a quote here from Gabe Newell where he says, quote, "Nobody has ever said, oh, we have a giant success where clearly there's huge demand for this, but our margins are too thin, right? And a lot of people have overpriced things and killed the opportunity. and sort of convince people that it's an uninteresting category from the get-go, Newell said. So our view is we're doing this for the long haul, and there's a lot of opportunity. And so far, everything we're hearing from our partners, mainly because they're the ones that we've talked about it the most, is a lot of enthusiasm that this is something that they're really going to be happy to see the PC community pushing into the space, end quote. And I think that this right here, the Steam Deck is not giving me the Steam console. No. I forgot what they were called. They weren't called Steam consoles. I think it was like Steam Box or whatever it was. That litany of console-like devices that were basically PCs, essentially, that they had years ago. This isn't giving me that at all. This is giving me seriously, like, they've really thought this through, clearly, with what is in it, the features and accessibility of it, the pricing of it, what you can do with this. They've clearly thought this through, and depending on how successful this is, I can see them doing a second one. Like, I think this is going to be successful. I think in order for them to make this super successful, they're going to have to do a really good job of marketing this to both the PC community and the console community. Like, I guess you could say, the console community, those who aren't involved in the PC space at all, and those who are involved in the PC space, and showing them that, hey, PC gamers, all your 10,000 games that you have in your library, you could bring them on the go with you with just this device here at this starting price if you want to. And for all you console gamers who have always been turned off by PC gaming, or have always wanted to dive in but just couldn't dive in, you can have access to our entire Steam library for just this baseline price. And you could take it on the go with you, like the Switch, just like the Switch. And if you want to put on a larger display, there's a dock for you to be able to, dock it and connect it to a larger display like that with. It's so, I want to say, like, ingenious in a sense. And I'm so impressed and so amazed with what Valve has done with this. And I want this to succeed so much, and because I really think it can. I think this could be a real game changer for, I guess, the industry and the handheld mobile gaming space as a whole.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I mean, some of the stuff I've said has been quite negative. I like it. I like the idea. I kind of want one, right? Like, I want this to do well. There were a couple more things that I wanted to point out now that I'm reading through the actual tech specs on Valve's website. One of them, I wish it was a 120 hertz screen. Like, with the hardware that they have, it shouldn't be too hard to push something like Overwatch to 120 frames per second on this, right? I understand why they didn't. Probably want to keep the cost down. But I would have liked to, I mean, even like I said, again, on the higher end models, I would have liked to have seen a higher refresh screen. There was something else. Oh yeah, the dock is sold separately. Doesn't come with the dock. So
that's right. I forgot they said that.
Yeah. So if you are interested in using it as how you would use a Switch, where like you can use it on the go, and then when you get home you plug it in and then you play it on your monitor or your keyboard and mouse, that's an additional cost for the dock.
But third thing, although that is the case, you don't need their dock specifically. If I'm right, they said that you can get like any type of like a third party thing. I'm looking in the FAQ because I did see that. Let's see, docking station, yes, producing a dock, it'll be sold separately. Will that be available at launch? I'm looking at the FAQ IGN has, and they're talking to some people, and someone said they don't have the answer about whether it'll be available at launch. Someone else says there's plenty of existing off-the-shelf solutions that I don't think will be providing this nice experience, but a similar function. And then someone else here, Lawrence Yang, said any USB-C dock that you can buy off the shelf will work with this. It'll do USB, Ethernet, and HDMI, all of the things you would expect from a dock. So it looks like you don't need their dock specifically.
No.
Their dock specifically will give you like the ideal Steam Deck experience, but you don't need their specific USB-C dock in order to take advantage of the USB-C, docking features that the Steam Deck has.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the dock just now, and on the back of it, there's a USB-C cable to connect to the Steam Deck. You've got DisplayPort 1.4, HDMI 2.0. The dock itself is powered by USB-C, which I like. It's got an Ethernet port, one USB 3.1 port, and two USB 2.0 ports. So I mean, it's a dock. There's not really much more I can say about it. It's a dock.
Yeah.
Something else I was going to say, right? So I need to reopen Steam for this, but I looked up how much an SD card is. So right now on Amazon, I can pick up a 512 gig micro SD card for £73, right? Which means that if I want to go for I just want the 256 gig NVMe to like put my big AAA games on, and then I want to use the rest of and then I pick up this micro SD card, I have more than enough storage here for like a bunch of indie games. So I could have, probably if I got like this specific option, for example, I could probably have upwards of like probably anywhere between like 15 and 30 games installed on this thing at a time, right? So you're definitely not going to be, lacking for a choice of games you can install and keep on the system. And you can, if you want to use that NVMe for, I mean, I imagine it would be like a lot of people use their PS5 or their Series X, where like, the internal storage of my Series X isn't that huge, so I move stuff over to my, external.
Yeah.
And then when I want to play them, I move them back. So you could do that on this. I imagine you'd be able to move games from your NVMe to your micro SD card when you're done with them, but rather than having to install them again, just move them back. So like there are options. Honestly, I think that might be like the best value option for people who want to use this as like their primary gaming device.
I'll say probably, I'll add a caveat on that. For the hardcore of the hardcore, yes, but I would say for the casual person, the 64 gig, because what you just said, you said that 512 gig, 75 pounds, you said. So 75 pounds on top of whatever the baseline price is in pounds for you, for that 64 gig, that's still less than the 256 gig one. And that gives you already close to 600 gigs of space to use. None of it's NVMe or SSD, but that gives you close to 600 gigs of space to use right there. And you're set. Like a person who's not a hardcore gamer, who doesn't care about having the super fast loading times, can get in on the ground level without tax for $400 some odd right there. And you're good. You're good for a couple different AAA games or loads and loads of indies. Like, that's why I'm saying, like, this is incredible. I'm so impressed with this. And like, I don't think my excitement for this is actually building up right now as we're talking about it. Because in the moment when I first read the stuff, I was like, all right, this is cool. But I guess other stuff in life was like taking my like eyes off of it. But like, now that I'm actually talking about it, this is awesome. This is really cool. And like, yes, when I first read the news, I wanted one, but like, I'm sitting here now, like, I really want one. I really want to get one. And money would be the only reason I don't get one. Because for the longest time, I've wanted to play some of the games that are on Steam. That, like, again, these indie games that are exclusive to Steam. But I'm not making a PC. I'm not doing any of that. I never wanted to do any of that. And to be able to do that for only $400 at a baseline price, what? That's fantastic. My main place of gaming will still be my PS5, which has the super fast loading and everything like that. I don't need that from necessarily the handheld. I don't need that. But being able to play all those different Steam games, take them on, that's just fantastic. And I am utterly in love with this idea. This was the perfect way for Valve to go about jumping into like I guess we can say the console / handheld space. This is the perfect way for them to go about it. And I want this to succeed the best way it can.
Yeah, just one last thing, something that you said earlier, I'm looking for. There is not a physical mute mic button. So either it's in the software or you can't mute them.
Well,
I imagine it's in the software because you're going to have to be able. Also, it has two mics.
Yeah, so it has to be in there. I guess before we go to the next topic real quick, I saw some people saying like, oh man, Nintendo needs to be on the watch now. I don't necessarily think so, because people buy Nintendo consoles for Nintendo games.
Yeah.
And Nintendo games, like you know what you're getting when you buy a Nintendo console. I think that if this is very successful, then maybe Nintendo should be worried for Gen 2.
Yeah.
For the Gen 2 version of this, then, and if Nintendo is still staying in like this type of Switch space with their next console, whatever it may be, then maybe Nintendo should be a bit concerned, because then people will be able to there will be another handheld on the market where you get all these PC games, like all the indie games that the Switch gets, and all the AAA games that the Switch does not get on the go.
Yep.
And yes, it's only a 720p resolution. No, we still don't know like how games actually perform on this. We see what the specs are, but we don't know how they actually perform on this.
Yeah.
But if the stars are all aligned and everything is as rainbow and sunshine as it seems to be, then once the Gen 2 comes around, then Nintendo should probably be concerned and start thinking, maybe we should start rethinking our, what we're going to do with our next handheld console hybrid. Maybe. But I mean, as of right now, Nintendo, I'm sure they're looking at this interestingly, and they're like, we're still good because we're Nintendo. We've always had the handheld space on lock, and they still will because they're Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't think anyone is going to be running out to sell their Switch to buy one of these things. Like,
oh dear God, no.
Do you want to know who I think? I think this is good for the people who like maybe have been on the fence about buying a Switch. You now have another option to consider because yes, you buy Nintendo consoles to play Nintendo games, right? And if you buy,
that's what I was gonna say. If you're on the fence for a Switch, you're probably thinking of getting a Switch because of the Nintendo games.
Yeah,
and that is the push. That is what will push you to still get a Switch over this, because that does not have Nintendo games.
Yeah, and then but going back to something that I said earlier, I think that there is one thing that you need to consider if you are going to be buying something like this, be it the Stream Deck or Stream Deck.
Steam Deck.
Steam Deck. God, every time okay, that's another thing. I don't like the name because I'm forever going to call it the Stream Deck because I have an Elgato Stream Deck. And I don't like the name. But something that I think that should be considered if you are thinking about buying, let's just say a mobile gaming option, right? So whether it be like a Razer Kishi to play xCloud on the go, or a Switch or Switch Lite, Switch OLED, whatever one you're looking at, or the Steam Deck. One thing that I think you should consider is, like I said, the Steam Summer Sale or the Steam Winter Sale or the Steam Spring Sale. Like, you can get really good games that you can very quickly build up your Steam library for quite cheap. Like, if I remember correctly, I might not be correct in this because the Steam Summer Sale ended a couple of weeks ago or a week ago. I don't know, but I think you could pick up like Far Cry 5, which is a game that, in like the grand scheme of things, didn't come out super long ago. Came out like 2 or 3 years ago, I think. Like is still used in PC benchmarks today. Like if you go and watch a benchmarking video, they will test Far Cry 5 because it's still a very capable, very good looking, solid overall game. And I think you could buy that game for under £10. And it's like, that's really good value. It's the game you can't get on the Switch. It's a game that at the time was still like £50 on Xbox and PlayStation. So each of these like handheld options has their benefits. It's just deciding which one is best for you. Like you would buy, like for me, I would buy the Steam Deck for sales and just the options in terms of games. I would buy a Switch for Nintendo games. I would buy a Kishi to play xCloud for like that low monthly cost and the amount of games you get for that price. So it's like I don't like this. This is not a Switch killer. This is not an xCloud killer. It's just another option for people in the space where you want to buy a thing to play games on the go.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on what you're saying. I think that the Steam here, I think here's the difference. I think like after this, like we'll definitely move on.
Yeah.
The Steam Deck is aimed at those who are already in the gaming ecosystem, gaming period. The Switch is aimed at those in the gaming ecosystem and those who are not gamers, period. That's the difference. If you're not a gamer, you don't know a single thing about Steam at all. You could tell someone, oh yeah, there's a Steam summer sale and the Steam holiday sale, and there's all these things, and there's like all these games on it, and that might not matter to them. That might just fly right over their head.
Yeah.
But they see the Switch, they're like, I know Mario. I'm not a gamer, but I know Mario. I know Pokemon. You know, I know those, and those always seem nice and cool. I will get that instead.
Yeah.
If you are in the gaming ecosystem, though, if you are a gamer, you know about Steam and you know what the benefits are of having Steam. This is meant for those people. And I think the challenge right now is getting PC gamers to get it and then getting console gamers to get it. Once that is done, then the challenge is getting people who are not traditional gamers, who are either not gamers period or just casual gamers, to see it and be interested in it and want to get it.
Yeah.
So that's why right now the Switch is not a competitor. Not a competitor just yet. It's not a competitor just yet, and Nintendo doesn't need to be worried right now. But if the Steam Deck is successful, then Nintendo will probably need to start paying attention and start being worried.
Yeah.
But that's just where we are right now. Very exciting, very, very cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely looking forward to seeing more from this. Hopefully I can get my hands on it at some point in time. I would really love to. All right, moving off from the PC Steam world, and we're going to move into still some streaming stuff, kind of sort of. Netflix potentially going to be getting PlayStation games. So this comes, I'm reading this article from VGC by Chris Scullion, where it's saying imagery from PlayStation products have reportedly been found in the Netflix app's code. The images show a render of two DualSense controllers, artwork from Ghost of Tsushima, a logo that says in games, and a shark icon. Data miner Steve Moser claims that Shark is the current working name of Netflix's gaming functionality and states that the presence of PlayStation imagery could indicate a partnership between Netflix and Sony, which may see PlayStation games being offered through Netflix in some way. And then they have here his two tweets talking about it. Keiran, what would you have ever thought that this would happen at all? Again, this is not official. None of this is confirmed, any of this. But would you have ever even thought that this would be a thing that could possibly happen? Not specifically just PlayStation. I mean, any platform.
I mean, the rumor that Netflix is looking to get into gaming has been around for at least a few months now. And in that time, I had assumed that it was going to be something like Stadia or Luna, where it's
they have their own team and stuff.
Yeah, like third-party games, not I'm gonna try to phrase this. Like,
not necessarily hosting not hosting like a first party's platform or anything like that. Like I thought it would be like you said, going down the Google or Luna path, but in the sense of we have our own team. We want to make Netflix games and games that you can play from us on Netflix. I never thought it'd be we're going to partner with other companies to have their games streamable through Netflix.
Yeah. Basically, that's what I was. Well, no, I expected it to be like Stadia in that they would get Assassin's Creed or Need for Speed or FIFA or whatever, and you would be able to stream those games through Netflix. And they might dabble in making I was going to say a Witcher game, but
A
I don't know,
Netflix
like
original. A Witcher is fine.
Netflix original, yeah, like a Netflix original game, right? I don't know why I'm blanking on every single Netflix original ever,
But I
but
mean, Witcher is fine. That's a fine one. They have the Witcher series. That's totally fine.
I suppose, yeah. I
I
just
get
don't
why
know.
you
Well,
didn't want to use it though, but it still works. It still works.
yeah. Anyway, um, it's interesting. I didn't think they were going to partner with PlayStation. I don't think they were going to partner with anyone. I thought they were just going to have, like I say, like a Google Stadia or an Amazon Luna, or like to some degree an xCloud, where just without the first party games. But I mean, this actually quite excites me. If I'm going to be able to play PlayStation games without buying a PlayStation on Netflix, like I'm 100% up for that. I don't own a PlayStation, and if this saves me the cost of going out and spending £350 on a PlayStation 5 digital, I'm all for that. Now, because it's Sony, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they're going to be like, "Oh yeah, we're making this with PS5 hardware," because then that's Sony. Like their entire thing is buy our box, and this would be a reason for people not to buy their box. So I think it would be PS4 versions. I don't think it would be PS5, but we'll have to wait and see.
I mean, at a certain point though, it
Yeah,
has
it's
to be
gonna have to be.
PlayStation game. It has to be PS5 games. And I imagine for this, like, I imagine for like if they had Ghost of Tsushima there, I imagine that it would be the director's cut that's coming later on this year in August. Yeah, in August I believe is the right time for that. I said August or September, one of the two. Granted, director's cut is PS4 and PS5, but I think they would still do the PS5 version because think about it, it doesn't matter which version you do. Like it doesn't matter if you do the PS5 version because yes, you want people to buy the box, but since it's streaming, it doesn't. It's not like they want to give off the best presentation of the game. Whatever the game is, they want
Yeah,
it to be the best version of that game. So even
yeah,
if it's streaming, and yes, the fact that it's streaming automatically is not going to make the best version of the game because
no,
there'll be latency and all that stuff, and yeah, pixel resolution might end up being degraded because of internet connection and stuff like that. That's I mean the same goes with X Cloud, Stadia, all that jazz.
yeah,
The best version is and always will be console. The streaming option is there, and the streaming option will be the best version of it. Xbox Cloud Gaming now, they have Series X's running it.
yeah,
It's Series X versions of those games. Granted, I guess you could say that it's different with Xbox because they're not worried about the console, they're worried about the ecosystem more so. But same, you get what I mean. The concept is the idea of what I'm getting at, the core of what I'm getting at is still the same in that
yeah,
it doesn't just because PlayStation is like the console is our place doesn't necessarily mean that they won't have the PS5 versions. I mean, they even said as much, when they were talking about how they're going to be doing more PC games. Yeah, they're going to be putting more games on PC, but they said PlayStation will still be the best place to play our games.
yeah,
So, I think that, we've talked for a bit on the show sometimes about how PlayStation said they have an answer to Game Pass that they weren't ready to talk about at the time. And when the PlayStation Plus Video Pass came out, we talked about was this it? And I kind of said, I think we both agreed that we thought this isn't it. We don't think
no,
that was it at all. What if this is it? What if this was the thing? I'm not saying it is, but what if it is? Because if it is, then they will have beat Xbox to the punch of getting their stuff everywhere. Because Netflix is everywhere already. Netflix is on TVs, Netflix is on, browsers. It's in although it does bring up the question though. If this happens, how does Netflix get around the issue that Microsoft had?
with Apple,
Yes.
yeah,
It brings up that question.
yeah,
Meaning maybe you won't be able to do it through the Netflix app on iOS devices, but through the browser instead, which is probably going to end up being the case.
yeah,
But getting past that, you then have Netflix is everywhere. Microsoft is still trying to get Game Pass everywhere. It's crazy if this is actually what this ends up being. If this ends up being true, ends up being the case, and PlayStation games, maybe not day and date, but PlayStation games are still on there on Netflix to just play if you have a controller. Mind blown.
Yeah, and then I also wonder if you would then be able to use, say you didn't want to go out and buy a DualSense, but you already had a Razer Kishi. If you could use that to play the game, obviously you wouldn't have like haptic feedback or
like if
that,
you're on mobile, most likely, yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. I am very intrigued to see if this is true. Like I say, I'm gonna be very happy if it is, because it means I don't have to go and buy a PlayStation. Obviously, the best place to play it is gonna be on PlayStation, and I would eventually still buy one, right? Because I want to have all three consoles.
Yeah.
But like in the meantime, it means that the time frame of me getting a PlayStation has gone from like I need to get one as soon as possible so I can play these games to I will get one whenever I can.
Exactly. Fascinating. It's fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
I want to learn more about. I want to wait and see what they say. We'll see what comes of this. But it's a cool idea potentially. The potential is there for something really, really interesting.
I also think, and I'm sure this will be the case, that if you want a Netflix, regular plus Netflix gaming subscription, that will cost more money.
Yeah, if Netflix gaming is something separate from a regular Netflix subscription, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I imagine they'll have, similar to what Xbox has talked about doing, they'll have different tiers where you get like Netflix, where like just Netflix as we know it now, and then Netflix plus just PlayStation Now, for lack of a better like description, right?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what they do with that in terms of price and how much it'll be.
Fascinating stuff. Fascinating. Now, our final big story of the week is none other than Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. Also revealed exclusively by IGN earlier this week. Is basically Nickelodeon crossed over, Nickelodeon Smash Bros. Style. That's exactly what it is. The trailer showed off a number of different characters. It's being developed by Ludosity and Fairplay Labs. It's coming to all platforms. PC is not on here, but I imagine maybe PC at some point. But all current consoles is coming to them later on this fall. The current roster list that IGN has here in this piece by Joe Screbbles. Current roster list are Michelangelo and Leonardo from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Nigel Thornberry from the Wild Thornberries, Powdered Toast Man from Ren and Stimpy, SpongeBob, Sandy, and Patrick from SpongeBob SquarePants, Obelina from Real Monsters, Lucy Loud and Lincoln Loud from The Loud House, Helga from Hey Arnold, Reptar from Rugrats, Zim from Invader Zim, and Danny Phantom from Danny Phantom. They say here, the game will also have 20 levels based on Nickelodeon shows, including Jellyfish Fields from SpongeBob and the Technodrome from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There's going to be single player and multiplayer modes with local and online support for up to 4 players. You can unlock new moves for every fighter, get bonus content for in-game gallery, and very importantly, I believe in the Ludosity Discord, they did confirm that the game will support rollback netcode. That's something that is very important for fighting game fans. I don't know all the nuances behind it, but based on what I understand, rollback netcode is the best. That is the best. And it is very great that this game is having it. And this game having it shows that they're kind of taking it very seriously. On top of the game, it's also looking really pretty fun, to be honest. Keiran.
Just one. I have no idea the word you just said. I have no idea what that is.
I don't know any of the ins and outs behind it either. I do want to watch a video about it, but I know it's a very important thing. I've heard a lot of people talk about it like the past couple months and stuff.
Yeah. Secondly, I'm getting this game. It looks good.
Oh, yes, 100%.
Like, I will be interested to see if it supports crossplay. I don't know if they've announced that yet. I hope it does.
I don't remember.
It's not in this article from what I can see.
Yeah, it's not.
Um, so I mean, hopefully, if it's not included at launch, it will come at some point down the line. But I also would like to see the full list of characters because I doubt this is the full list of characters you can play as.
Oh,
With
100% not. Like, there's
yeah,
definitely the box art leaked. And if you look at the box art, although I actually saw a list that had a few other characters on it. But on the box art, you can see Korra, like you see silhouettes of the characters, but you can see Korra on the box art. You can kind of sort of make out Aang on the box art as well. In the trailer, there's a level from Avatar. So like you can guarantee Avatar
yeah.
characters are gonna be in the game. There's definitely going to be more characters in this game. Um, I'm hoping Jenny from My Life as a Teenage Robot. I'm hoping Jimmy Neutron. You and I talked about it before. Timmy Turner from Fairly Odd
Mhm.
Parents. Bring them in. This game looks like it looks like it has a lot of potential to be really fun and really cool.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like I mean, like I say, I don't know if I'm gonna get this day one because it depends when it comes out, how much it's gonna be, and what else I'm doing at the time. But if I'm able to, I will be getting this game day one. I am very excited for this game. It looks really good.
Yeah, like this looks like a good Smash clone.
Yeah, exactly. It's like because I don't have Smash Ultimate because like it's still 60 quid in the UK or 50, whatever. But like this might give me that Smash fix I've been looking for. But with like characters I actually somewhat know.
Yeah. Yeah, and like this it being Nickelodeon, like there's a potential for like a whole bunch of different characters to be brought into it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the rollback netcode thing. Like I said, I know nothing about rollback netcode, but based off what I've read and what I understand, this is a game changer for this because like last year since Evo, well before Evo got canceled last year, and it was going digital, some games had to get dropped. Smash got dropped from Evo because its online sucks. Its
Yeah.
online is just straight trash. And like, but Smash is like the premier game of this style, you know?
Yeah.
Another game coming in the same style, but with rollback netcode and like a great like roster potential and everything, it could easily come in and steal. I mean, okay, I'm not gonna say easily because then Smash is like on a whole nother
Yeah.
level, but like this can come in and steal a lot of Smash's shine and luster
Yeah.
off the roster and the online alone. So I'm really in on this. I want this game to be good, and I hope there are some. I want. I just want it to be good. I just want it to be good. Please, please be good.
Just very quickly, I googled robot netcode just to get like a very brief description of what it is. Obviously, if you want to know what it is, just go and watch a YouTube video about it or something. But it says here that robot netcode simulates or predicts upcoming frame inputs. If there's a mistake, the system rolls back to a correct input. Is like the very TLDR basic version of what robot netcode is, which like again I would have to go and watch something to see if to understand it fully, but it sounds cool, I guess.
Yeah, this is awesome. It's great news. It's a really cool announcement. Not an announcement I was expecting at all. When
Nope.
IGN teased they had an exclusive announcement this week, and that was it. I was like, wow, okay. Then drop. That was at the beginning of the week, and then the end of the week, just oh yeah, Steam Deck. By the way, it's like what,
Yeah.
what? So yeah, that's it. That's it for the big news stories of the week. So what we're gonna get into now is what we've been playing. I have not played anything this week. I mean, unless you count an hour of Life is Strange 2, but I was falling asleep as I did that, so I'm not even counting that at all. I've been too busy this week. I have not played anything at all. Um, I like unless Keiran wants to hear some thoughts on Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart from me, I have nothing to report. But Keiran, you have two things here. What's up with you?
I mean, okay, one of them I'm just gonna say the name because I've talked about it more. Overwatch. Played some Overwatch. Second one, so while I had COVID, I couldn't really do much because can do the podcast, couldn't leave my room, and I was bored out of my mind for most of it. So I actually got back into Apex Legends. Like, I
Okay.
mean, I couldn't play it for like I could play maybe like one or two games at a time, and then I would start to get a really bad headache from like staring at a screen. But I've played like an ungodly amount of Apex Legends over the last like 2 weeks,
Oh dear
like
God.
like 10 or 12 hours a day. But well, no, well, 10 or 12 hours a day if you include like breaks in between that.
I mean,
But no,
I figured I would hope you didn't do it for 212 hours straight.
no,
Dear God.
no, like I said, I would play like one or two games, sometimes three, and then it would take like a half an hour, 45-minute break. So I've probably only played maybe like 7 or 8 hours a day. But yeah, I bought the battle pass, I bought new characters, like I have like dove straight into Apex.
Well then.
Honestly, been getting all right. I probably average like 4 or 5 kills a game. I think in the first like, so they're on season 9 just now, I think. And
Yeah.
before I picked it up again, maybe like I think a couple days before you did the first episode by yourself, when you recorded it. Since then I think I've gotten like maybe 17 or 18 wins.
Nice.
So like as somebody who isn't good at video games, I've been like, wow, COVID's really improved my Apex skills.
Yeah.
Like it's one positive side, I guess. Yeah, like dove straight into Apex, like been playing, like I say, an ungodly amount of it. Before I was a Bangalore main, now I am definitely a Valkyrie main, which is like I think the newest character.
I think so. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. I'm happy to hear you having fun with that, getting back into it. That's your new obsession. I see.
Yeah.
I understand.
I will say just on the Overwatch side, like I haven't really been doing anything different than usual, but one of my friends literally just go Overwatch. I played with her for the first like her first time ever playing last night, and I think she might be slightly obsessed with it. So I'll have a new person to play Overwatch with.
Well, God. Okay, then. You got a friend. You got a friend. Okay, then.
That's it.
So, yeah, that'll cover what we've been playing for the past week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks in Keiran's case. So, there's not going to be a question of the episode this week, and probably not for the foreseeable future. I know we normally do question of the episode, but Keiran and I talked, and what we're going to do is we're only going to do question of the episode if we actually have one to bring to the table. We don't want to like try and force a question of the episode, like trying to think of a question of the episode or anything like that. If it's like not something like natural or anything by any means. So not sure. I don't want to say forever. It's not a forever thing, but for now, there's not going to be question of the episode unless necessary. So this week, there is none. When it comes back, oh, geez, that was a lot of motorcycle. When it comes back, it comes back. So yeah, that'll be episode 16
Can I jump in real quick and just say one thing? Like if you want to submit questions, if you go on Twitter, if you want to submit questions, like we're not saying don't send us questions. It's more like until either one of us has a question we want to ask or one of you submits a question, then we probably aren't going to do one, but you are still more than welcome to submit.
Yes. Thank you for saying that because I definitely forgot about that part. Yes. Still feel free to send them in. And now with that all said and done, that will bring an end to episode 16 of the Play to Win podcast. Thank you all so very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode and enjoyed the return of Keiran after such a long absence. It was very great having you back here, my friend. Remember, you can follow us over on Twitter and Instagram at Play to Win Game. Follow the socials for updates and everything on the show. Subscribe to us here on YouTube at Play to Win. Like, share, comment, subscribe on the YouTube, on podcast services, anywhere, everywhere. It's all greatly appreciated. Keiran, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Badlynet, BADLYNET, all one word.
Fantastic. I was plugging you when you were gone too, so don't think I wasn't. I was still putting your name out there.
Thanks.
You're welcome. And you can follow me. What happened? What did you see?
No.
Keiran saw something.
No. I have my window open because it's super hot here right now. And there was a daddy long legs way to come into my room, and I detest those.
Oh dear God! I was about to,
I saw it going up to the opening. I'm like, no, please.
I was about to say my thing. I was looking. I see your face. And it's like the eyes of fear. It was just like, wait, what happened? Wait, is the nuke actually dropping right now? Is it actually dropping in his backyard?
Yeah, I can see it there.
Guys, just watched Keiran just. Oh,
just put a timer. It'll be like bright flash in 3, 2.
Oh no! This would have been able to put it on YouTube. Would have had to edit that out. Be like, so, someone was here 10 seconds ago, and they're no longer here. This is why. Okay, you can follow me on Twitter at TylerMiller2496. Follow me over there for all the fun, cool things I tweet and all the conversations and things I say about gaming and anime and so on and so forth. I see you eyeing that daddy long legs through the window, just giving the eyes a look. Thank you all again so very much for watching and listening. We will talk to you all next week. Have a great one.
See you all later.